Welcome to Evidence News Show. My name is Alex and we'll be talking about newest and best research in Olympic weightlifting. Let's go! The first study taking a long-term approach to the development of weightlifting ability in young athletes. It's a collaboration between researchers from Australia, UK and New Zealand. It goes through all the phases of development of a young weightlifter, starting with beginner, novice, intermediate, and advanced lifter development. It provides a long-term development scheme with guidance through 4 sections, which are physical capacity development, training prescription rules, exercise selection model, and skill development framework. Then it goes into phases of snatch, clean, and jerk. What I really like about this study is that it then goes into progressions through snatch, clean, and jerk, and it displays us, I think, in the easiest way possible how you should progress through these. Then it provides key performance indicators so you can make sure that whatever you do, you're able to assess. And as a bonus, you get task constraints to fix common errors. And the most exciting news is that I have interviewed the author of this study, so you can hear straight from her. So look for this interview here in the channel. All right, another study: prevalence, frequency, adverse events, and reasons for analgesic use in youth athletes, a systematic review with meta-analysis of 44,381 athletes. It's a collaboration between researchers in Denmark and the Netherlands. It's not a weightlifting specific study, but some analgesics can influence balance and how the weightlifters perform, so I think it's important to know how much they are used by youth athletes. This systematic review included 39 studies, and additional studies were included from citation tracking. So together there were 49 studies analyzed. And as you get in the reviews, there was a mixture of studies from different countries, looking at athletes from different sports, and having athletes of different abilities, levels, and age. Prevalence is a number of cases in a specific population in a specific time. Alright, now the results. When the data from all these studies were pulled together, the prevalence of analgesic use, specifically in NSAIDs, was 48%. So 48% of young athletes use analgesics. Now, this prevalence will differ. So if we look only into previous week, the prevalence would be 7%. If we look at the lifetime of the athlete, the prevalence would be 95%. The prevalence did not differ according to age or gender of the athlete. And the subgroup analysis have shown that NSAIDs are used less in non-elite athletes than in elite athletes. And it's about 31% to 64%. So 31% of non-elite athletes use NSAIDs versus 64% of elite athletes. So these were data for NSAIDs. Now, for non-specified analgesics, the data were very similar. The prevalence of use of unspecified analgesic was 50%, from 7% in the previous 3 days to 73% in the previous season. And again, non-athletes use non-specified analgesics more often than elite athletes. It was 61% in non-elite athletes and versus 40% in elite athletes. Now, the use of mixed analgesics was at 54% prevalence and ranged from 11% in the last 7 days to 29% within the last 12 months. Local anesthetic injections had prevalence of 2% within the last 3 days and also 2% within the last 12 months. So pooled prevalence of the use of paracetamol is 21%. Reporting in single studies varied from 34% in the previous month, 3% in the last 3 months, and 90% in the previous 12 months. Now, prevalence of use of acetylsalicylic acid was 21% on point prevalence, 3% on 1 month's prevalence, and 12% in 3 months period prevalence, and 60% within the 12 months period prevalence. Now, pooled opioid use prevalence was 13% within a period of 12 months. Now, in terms of sex-specific differences, 5 studies reported that females had higher prevalence of use of analgesics, and 2 studies reported reported higher prevalence in males. In terms of the numbers, the point prevalence was reported between 28 and 43% for females and 20 to 30% for males. 1 month period prevalence was 53 to 75% for females, 30 to 60% for males, and 12 months period prevalence was 17 to 34% in females and 19 to 39% in males. In terms of how often athletes use analgesics, studies reported 7 and 50% of use weekly, and 6 to 35% of the athletes reported using analgesics monthly. Okay, in terms of adverse events while using NSAIDs, 3.3 to 90.2% of the athletes reported some adverse events, and these included gastrointestinal symptoms, tiredness, lightheadedness, decreased muscle power, increased sweating, increased appetite, dry mouth, increased asthma symptoms, nausea, vomiting, headache, fatigue, allergy, bronchospasms, and anaphylaxis. For unspecified analgesics, about 6.3% of the athletes reported adverse events, and they included non-immunomodulated adverse reactions and oral allergy syndrome. So if you consider symptoms like lightheadedness, tiredness, perceived decrease in muscle power, nausea, headache, or fatigue, you can see how these can influence performance in weightlifting, performance or even training. So in terms of why the athletes use analgesics, one study asked whether the athletes use analgesics for sport-related or non-sport-related reasons, and found that 35% use analgesics for sport-related reasons. And these could be pain or injury, to prevent or block pain so they can participate in sports, to manage general muscle soreness and cramps, to treat general illness like fever, headaches, or colds, or to improve performance. In other news, Evidence Strong has now a Patreon community with over 100 pieces of content, from 3 seconds reads to interviews with researchers, extended versions, and masterclass on the topics you choose. So if you want to upgrade your research knowledge specifically in weightlifting, that's the place to be. Okay, another study for today is titled Effects of Different Levels of Weightlifting Training on Bone Mineral Density in a Group of Adolescents. It's a collaboration between researchers from France and Lebanon. It included 39 boys between the age of 13 and 15 years from Tunis City. So they had 13 untrained boys, 13 boys who did weightlifting in Tunisian weightlifting clubs, and 13 elite weightlifters who were on national team. And they measured bone mineral density of different body size, like lumbar spine, femoral neck, upper limb, lower limb, and whole body bone mineral density. And they used DEXA scans to assess it. What they found was that both bone mineral density and performance metrics, counter movement jump, weightlifting specific exercises, and squat jumps were higher in elite weightlifters when compared to non-elite weightlifters and control group. Additionally, non-elite weightlifters still had higher values for bone mineral density and performance tasks than control, so the boys who did not do weightlifting. And the bone mineral density was still significantly higher even when the researchers adjusted for lean body mass and squat jump performance. So yeah, do weightlifting, kids. It will make your bones stronger. That's all for today. See you next time.